Hello, everyone. This is recording number 4 for a class on early Greek philosophy. Today, I want to talk about Xenophanes, an early philosopher who is famous for his ideas in epistemology and theology. He typically comes up in discussions of skepticism, and scholars have asked, is he some kind of proto-skeptic? And that is a question that I will also ask. Now, here is a kind of minimal summary of key proposals that we find in the reports, the fragments about his epistemology. First, he says, no one has seen what is clear, and no one knows about the gods or any of the other things that he's talking about. Second, he says, even if someone were to say something that is true, they would not know that it is true. Third, he says, all is belief. And fourth, he says that with searching, human beings can find out better. Now, this final item that I mentioned, that with searching, human beings can find out better, is probably the most obvious argument against the idea that Xenophanes is some kind of skeptic. Greek skeptics would not say that, if you only try, if you only put more effort into investigation, then you will find out more. So I want to set aside the idea that he is a skeptic, but that still leaves us with a kind of weaker but very interesting idea that he comes up with ideas that inform and inspire Greek skepticism. And there's also room for a more ambitious claim, and that is what I will ultimately defend, namely that he comes up with ideas that inform Greek epistemology more broadly. So, why would I say this? The first reason is that those ideas that I just invoked use a contrast between belief, and in Greek here that is dokos, and knowledge, which is one of the biggest contrasts in Greek epistemology. That is of huge interest to Parmenides, to Plato, and others. And in particular, the Greek word dokos, that is translated belief here, could also be translated seeming. So belief is somehow associated here with, as we might put this, mere seeming. And there is a picture that emerges here of human beings being in a cognitive condition which is almost like a fog. We don't see clear. We have mere seemings. And that is an incredibly forceful idea that other Greek philosophers grapple with. So that is one reason to think that he puts forward ideas in epistemology that are influential beyond the history of skepticism. Another reason to think this is that this idea that someone could say something that is true and not know that it is true is extraordinarily interesting, whether or not you are inclined to be a skeptic. And scholars have asked whether this is an ancestor of an idea that comes up in Plato's Meno. There's this famous so-called heuristic problem, which in Socrates' formulation goes as follows. Maybe inquiry is just not possible because either you know something or you don't know it. Now, if you know something, you don't have to inquire about it. But if you don't know it, you would not know what to look for. And you would also not recognize it if you found it. So it can seem that this last bit about not recognizing something is fairly similar to this idea in Xenophanes that someone could say something that is true and not know that it is true. And it is controversial among scholars whether we should say that this is kind of the same idea. One reason maybe to hesitate, I think, is that in Plato, things are almost formulated as if we were looking for an object, searching for something that you recognize. Whereas Xenophanes talks about what someone says, and it's the truth of what someone says. and that might just be a slightly different idea, then I think that leaves us in conjunction with these ideas about seeming and things not being clear with an alternative picture, according to which what he's talking about is more something like the mortal condition, the condition that human beings find themselves in cognitively, that to us things are just not clear. And that involves that it is possible to say things that are true and just not even be able to assess that one said something that is true. Now, I want to leave things here and just suggest that Xenophanes does not only merit a place in the history of skepticism, he also merits a place in thinking about key issues in Greek epistemology.